Hi everyone, Ellen Jaffe Jones here, answering the question that I get from some of my customers about, well, what can you expect when you move to Sarasota? What's it really like? Well, I'm here in my office, and that's probably where I'll start, is that a lot of people move here knowing that they're not going to have an office anymore, and that's okay. So the homes that are here, the ones I've looked at in new construction as well as the ones that are being remodeled in older construction, are geared toward that end, where instead of this big open floor plan, you have rooms that you can go into and really have your own space, your own office at home that sequesters you, quarantines you, dare I use that word, from the rest of the family members or the rest of the house. Sort of the extension of the man cave or woman cave. So that's one thing. The construction here, especially the new construction, is very much geared toward that need. So there are subdivisions like you would find in any northern climate, but they're not as spread out. And it's really interesting. Some of the new construction that I've been to, they have these big, gorgeous homes, but there's not much space between the next door neighbors. So, you know, if they don't get along, you may be hearing some of that discussion. But many of the communities here have just highly developed social community areas even after COVID. So you've got outdoor pools, many of them. You have community centers or gathering areas. Increasingly, the new construction is making them more outdoorsy focused, so you're not inside breathing somebody else's air. But there still are mega kitchens where you can entertain with a party if you want to do that kind of thing. So Florida is pretty open as COVID goes, because being outside is one of the best things you can do to prevent getting COVID. There are just a number of activities, pretty much any interest you have, whether it is sports. If you've watched my videos, you know I'm an avid runner. There are races multiple times a weekend, sometimes 2 or 3 in the metropolitan area on the same day. And you kind of have to pick and choose, especially during season. It didn't used to be that way. I've been on the board of 2 runners clubs here, and you know, we used to fret when there was another race on the same day as our race, but that's pretty common now during the season. And you know, the reason board members were concerned about that is because you have volunteers coming to these races, and you can only have so many volunteers that are available to help any given event. You know, one of the things about running is, in the races that I do, is that they all pretty much have some focus on walking too. And there may be a separate race, there may be a kids race. Just all of these events are really geared toward getting the community together. And it doesn't matter, it can be cycling, it can be swimming, it can be a combination of the 3. There are so many different sports to get involved in, so much so that the National Senior Games actually next May is having their national event, which I have participated in now. This will be my 4th time participating in the national events. They only have them every 2 years, and because of COVID, they've gone 3 years since the last one. But point being is that Florida is definitely a hub for all kinds of activities. Benderson Park, which is just off 75 and University in Sarasota. I've done a number of videos from there, but that is like, you know, who would have thunk that a little pond next to I-75 10 years ago was going to be now the center and the hub for all of these international Olympic qualifying events in rowing and all the different sports that are connected to rowing. I actually, just walking over there for a training run one day, stumbled upon a national championship that was going on with high school rowers, and you know, it was quite something to watch. And who would have thunk, who would know that Nathan Benderson, who's one of the big commercial developers here, would set aside this land for recreational use, and that it would become so huge. They have like this $2 million, however much it costs, to build this tower, an observation tower for the media or anybody who wants to just hop in and join, looking at a gorgeous, gorgeous view. So from the top, and you can see everything that's going on around the lake. They have a whole perimeter that we run. It's about 4.2 miles, I think, to run the whole thing. So most of the 5Ks will start at one point. That's 3.1 miles. Will start at one point and finish not quite before the total circumference of the lake is completed. But what can you expect? Just a lot of great restaurants. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Of course, I'm plant-based, vegan, and there's just a ton that are. We have raw vegan restaurants, Ione's. I've done some videos from there, all not only raw but organic as well. So you really understand. These restaurants here really understand that we are all about health. So even if you're not vegan, farm-to-table kinds of restaurants are popping up. And even if they don't use those words that in the title of their restaurant, it still may be incorporated into their recipes and menus. So just lots and lots of different options as far as eating. Outdoor restaurants, very big, of course, because of COVID, and the restaurants really had to morph to that to acquire the clientele who was leaving in droves because they didn't want to be inside because of COVID. So that's just one other thing. The beaches here, of course, that's our number one thing, and I've done lots and lots of videos from the beaches, and it's just really gorgeous here. The sand in this part of Sarasota all the way up to Anna Maria Island, where I have lived and worked for many years. White crystal from the glaciers retreating and scraping and crushing the granite is what the scientists say is the reason, the scientific explanation for why our beaches the sand is so white. It's powdery when you move off the shoreline, but right at the shoreline, it's hard, firm, packed, so just fabulous to run on. When I lived in Miami, you couldn't run. I tried numerous times, and this was many years ago, but the sand hasn't changed much there. It's very brown, coarse, and it's kind of like running in slow motion. So the beaches here, they are crowded. Takes a bit of traffic to muddle through to get to them, especially during season. But the trick, I lived on Anna Maria Island, which is probably, it was on the cover of it still is, of different magazines, and featured as being the last of old Florida because they had a moratorium on buildings new construction being built taller than 3 stories, and they've stuck to that. There are 2 high-rises in there that were grandfathered, that were built before they put in the moratorium, but and I lived right next to those in a 3-story building. So, it was just a great place to live, but you would learn when are the best times to go to the grocery store. The island there does have a grocery store, Publix, and so if you go early in the morning, late at night, not too many crowds, not a big deal. But you just learn, especially during season, that going up and down the island, which is only 7 miles long, could take you an hour or more, depending, especially if it was a Sunday. So but I really loved living there. It's gotten very expensive and very congested at this point. So many of us who have lived on the barrier islands have moved off inland to communities like Lakewood Ranch, which is considered by many the #1 planned developed community in the country, and multi-use with all different kinds of sports complexes, and yet you can have a 4-bedroom home, at least back in the day, for $200,000 or $300,000. But as prices continue to rise here, and there's no doubt that they will continue to rise, it still is the further inland you go, the less expensive the home will be, and you may have more of the amenities that you like, because there are, like out on the island, there was no community pool. 0. So, they figured you have the Gulf. But if you like a pool to swim in, and some people do, if you don't want to build your own, having a community pool is something that you can accomplish by living in a planned development further inland. So and that's of course where pretty much all of the new construction is going on, because you know, with a property that's out on the islands, the only way you get new construction is if you buy a single family home or a duplex and tear it down and build your own thing. And people do that, but you know, we're talking minimum $1 or $2 million to first get the land, and then buy, you know, if you're doing new construction, you would have to, you know, hire a builder and go that route. So it can be pretty pricey to get new construction that way. But for those who have the resources to do it, it's definitely, there's only so much land left by the shoreline, and you just have to figure out how much you want to spend, and you know, what is important to you. So if I can help you in any way, please do let me know. My contact information and website is down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because I'm always talking about this incredible lifestyle here, not only in terms of how you live, but also, you know, how you enjoy life to the fullest. So just feel free to tell me what your favorite part about Southwest Florida is, or what you're looking for in the comments below. And if you have your own ideas about what you think you find here, if you happen to be familiar with the area, please do let me know. All right, everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe. Gotta run.